transportation, you can request a free pass to come back and get your second dose. This is open to everyone, not just City of St. Louis residents, not just County of St. Louis residents, anyone in the region. And you can welcome you back if you still have to get your second dose. The St. Louis Fire Department is also administering vaccines to homebound people. So if you're unable to travel to the Dome without assistance, and if you need this help, please call the St. Louis Area Agency on Aging at 314-612-5918. For more information on the city's health order or the vaccination event at the Dome, please call the city's health department at 314-612-5100 or visit stlouis-mo.gov and click COVID-19 information on the homepage. Last but not least, as we shift a little bit towards this new normal, I encourage everyone to free themselves of the stigma of wearing masks. If you're vaccinated and still want to wear one, keep wearing it. I know I will. If you're vaccinated and don't want to wear one, please don't pass judgment on others who do. And we ask that you respect the policies of businesses who may still choose to have mask wearing as a mandate and enforce that in their facilities. This pandemic is far from over, and we must still take precautions, and part of that is respecting the autonomous decisions of others to wear masks. At this time, I'll turn it over to St. Louis City's Health Director, Acting Health Director, Dr. Frederick Eccles, to talk about our new health orders. Dr. Eccles?
Thank you, Mayor Jones. Good morning, everyone. Over the past 16 months, local public health agencies, government officials, and health systems have worked tirelessly to empower through the provision of accurate information and care to protect the health of residents and visitors. As we reflect on the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, we honor those who risk their lives serving and providing care for others, give thanks to every resident, visitor, and business who worked hard to protect the health of the community by complying with previously issued health orders, and celebrate the lives of those who lost their life due to COVID-19. As a city and region, we have come a long way, but we're not yet out of the woods. Due to the increase in supply of COVID-19 vaccine, expansion of eligibility requirements for the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine to include persons 12 to 15 years of age, and the ongoing daily increase in the number of residents getting vaccinated in the City of St. Louis and St. Louis County, we continue our efforts to better align our mitigation efforts. Public health trends and data reveal the metro area has reached significant benchmarks for new confirmed cases, new hospital admissions, and total hospitalized patients. However, as I mentioned before, the pandemic is far from over. The City of St. Louis and St. Louis County are simply at a place where a new strategy can be implemented. We have arrived at a point in the pandemic where we have to lean more heavily on personal accountability to prevent the spread of the virus. The intent of the change in strategy is to streamline public health measures across the City of St. Louis and St. Louis County and ensure the maximum number of people and businesses take prudent precautions to reduce the exposure to and slow the spread of SARS-CoV-2, the virus that causes COVID-19. In the City of St. Louis, we are rescinding health orders 1 through 17, which includes standard business guidance and guidance related to youth sports, and encouraging all businesses, academic institutions, religious institutions, and places of worship, government agencies, and individuals to comply with the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention guidance to further slow the spread of COVID-19 and protect the health of our community. As we move forward together, we will remain dedicated to providing quality services and accurate information to our communities. Furthermore, we will continue to work together to address vaccine hesitancy and understand the impact of COVID-19 on our community and use that information to inform our decision-making and program development moving forward. Again, we're not out of the woods yet, but we're doing our very best to streamline efforts as it relates to COVID-19 mitigation across the city of St. Louis and St. Louis County.
Good. Good morning. More than 125 times over the past year, I've stood at a podium like this to deliver updates on the pandemic in our community. Oftentimes, the news was hard to deliver. On March 7th of last year, I stood with Governor Parson and announced the first case of COVID-19 in Missouri was in St. Louis County. 2 weeks later, I announced the first death, a nurse who worked at St. Mary's Hospital. And then a month later, I announced that there were 1,000 cases in St. Louis County. With the pandemic taking hold, we knew that we had to do something, some sort of measures to stop the spread of the virus in our community. So throughout last year, we listened to the experts, the CDC at the national level, and Dr. Fauci, and then here locally, the experts at Washington University, St. Louis University, our own public health department, and the pandemic task force. Those working in our hospitals saw some unimaginable things. As a medical doctor, working closely with other healthcare providers, I saw how contagious this virus was. I knew that doing nothing was certainly not an option. There was no cure, and the only way to slow the spread of the virus was by keeping people apart as much as possible and by wearing masks. Sadly, there was a small segment of our population to which mask wearing was an inconvenience, an impingement on their personal liberties and personal freedoms. But here's what I know. Masks save lives. Masks proved an effective weapon against the spread of the virus that we knew little about. And because of the incredible commitment from all over our community to wear masks, we now have the freedom to move about in a way that we haven't had in almost a year. Masks were a small inconvenience to get us to where we are today. It's a historic moment in the pandemic that has brought relief and hope to everyone in our community. And the overwhelming number of our residents just want to do the right thing and to take whatever steps are necessary just to keep everyone safe. While the point's been made, I want to stress it again. If you have not been vaccinated, you should continue wearing a mask. For those of you who have not gotten vaccinated, we encourage you to do so. Vaccines are widely available throughout the region, including walk-up locations where you don't even need an appointment. Yesterday, we began vaccinating the 12 to 15-year-old age group. The Pfizer vaccine was developed right here in St. Louis County, and it's approved for this age group. We strongly recommend that you get the 12 to 15-year-old kids vaccinated. We want to make sure that they can safely return to school in the fall, and we want to start that vaccination process early so they aren't scrambling in July and August to get their vaccine. If you want to find opportunities on where to get vaccinated, you can go to stlcorona.com, click on the vaccine button. In St. Louis County, just like in St. Louis City, we'll vaccinate anyone who can make it to one of our vaccine locations, no matter where you live. Now, those who have been fully vaccinated may still want to wear a mask. We understand that. The majority of Americans haven't been vaccinated, and some folks just aren't ready to shed their mask yet. Please be respectful of businesses who ask you to wear a mask if you're not vaccinated. You're still a danger to get COVID-19, and you can certainly expose someone else to COVID. We want our businesses to be successful, and we know that each business is now considering whether or not to require masks of all of their patrons. Ultimately, that decision will be up to each business owner. This really is a proud moment for the St. Louis region. It's great to see more smiles. It's great to hear the stories of family members that are spending more time together because they can now do so safely because they've been vaccinated. We've made great progress, and thanks to all of you for making that possible. And I'll turn this back over to Mayor Jones. Mayor?
We will now take any questions for the mayor, county executive, or health director. Whoever wants to start.
Yeah, how will businesses know who's been vaccinated or not? Are they allowed to ask customers or whoever via their building?
Well, I would hope that they would ask, because if you're fully vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask, or at least that's the CDC guidance. But we don't want this to turn into sort of like a show me your papers moment. We'll just have to trust what people tell us.
There's a list of FAQs on the STL Corona webpage, and since St. Louis County guidance and St. Louis City guidance will be very close, those FAQs will be worked out through both departments, and that's one of the questions. The CDC guidance certainly allows businesses to ask. Businesses have the right to ask, but we hope people will be patient and respect folks who want to keep their employees safe when the patrons are coming in, because you're right, we still don't know who's been vaccinated. But we hope that, as we've seen from the beginning, most people want to just know what the right thing to do is, and they do it. There is very little dissent. Although when there is dissent, it is certainly vocal. It is not representative, and most people just want to know what the right thing to do is, and they do it.
With 65 and 70% of the population in the city and county not vaccinated, are you worried about this being premature and an uptick in cases locally because of that?
Cases are going in the right direction, and we're happy for that. As more people get vaccinated and people who are not vaccinated wear masks, we expect to continue to go in the right direction. But from the President, from the CDC, and from our public health experts, it's time to take this next step, which is to reinforce the message: get vaccinated, and you have the ability to shed your mask. Reinforce the message that businesses have the right to continue to require masks if they want to, and that it's time to get vaccinated.
What does this mean for other events? Are you going to other events, concerts, sporting events, like at Enterprise where they're inside? What does it mean for those type of venues?
We will work with those venues to try to increase capacity, but obviously, again, the message is if you're vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask. The CDC still has issued guidance about distancing, so we would hope that, again, that everybody takes every precaution necessary to still keep people safe.
So, to the health director, I just want to, you're rescinding orders 1 through 17. That's a huge amount of orders. Is there anything left that you're definitely requiring?
Yes, so we're still encouraging individuals to comply with guidance issued by the Centers for Disease Control. And that's the guidance that we've been following over the course of the pandemic. And so that doesn't change. So social distancing requirements as issued by CDC, face covering recommendations as issued by CDC are all in effect. But we don't have a health mandate for that at this point.
So the order is, what about the county?
Yeah, so there'll still be orders around isolation and quarantine. If you are infected with COVID-19, our focus in the county and sure in the city will be focusing on case tracking. Case numbers are now low enough, we can do that successfully. Isolation and quarantine orders will remain. Mask wearing orders in residential care, senior care facilities will remain. These questions are on our FAQ webpage. There are some orders that will remain, but the vast majority of the public health orders have been lifted respecting the CDC guidance.
Yesterday, the approval for the 12 and 13-year-olds, I was down at the Dome, and in 3 instances I saw people being turned away with their children because they were saying the city, the state, or the government had not given them authority to to have those individuals get vaccinated. There seemed to be some misunderstanding. Is there any understanding that you can give to that situation? And when can people expect to get their 12 to 15-year-olds down to the zone?
Yeah, so we've been in constant communication with the Federal Emergency Management Agency, who's overseeing the COVID-19 vaccination clinic at the Dome. So we have fleshed out the issues that came up yesterday as it relates to what documentation is required for guardians and other documents or affidavits that are needed for individuals who are 12 to 15 or 12 to 16 to get the COVID-19 vaccine.
How quickly will you update the county and city health pages with this information as to where people can take their children to get the vaccine?
And so right now on Vaccine Finder, which is the state's website, it lists all of the locations across the state where individuals can receive a COVID-19 vaccine. So the information is managed by the state and updated on a regular basis.
Are there any plans to enforce mask wearing for unvaccinated people, or does this essentially depend on the honor system from here on out?
And so personal accountability has been really important from the very beginning of the pandemic. With strict mitigation measures, oftentimes it can be difficult to enforce. So at this point, we've recognized that there is a great need for individuals to be personally accountable for their actions and make sure they are aware of the guidance and the standards that are needed to continue to slow the spread of COVID-19 and other communicable diseases.
Dr. Eccles, the other day we mentioned for the Cardinals, are you saying the capacity has been lifted for all venues so they can pull their stadium, right?
So we'll continue to work with the St. Louis Cardinals, St. Louis Blues, and other agencies that use large venues for events to make sure that the plans that are in place are appropriate. They've been amazing partners for us, and their primary priority is make sure they're able to maintain a safe environment for their staff and their patrons. And so they don't take this lightly, we don't take this lightly, so we'll continue to work closely with them over the upcoming weeks and months.
So the social distancing is still in place?
Social distancing is still a recommendation by the CDC. So again, right now we're moving to CDC guidance to standardize the mitigation measures across the jurisdictions.
In restaurants, I know waitresses and waiters have to wear masks. Will that still be in effect, or how would that work?
That is still a recommendation issued by the Centers for Disease Control, and so we'll continue to work with food and beverage establishments to make sure that they are aware of those guidelines as well.
And between the city and the county, are there going to be any major differences that people should know that might impact them on a regular daily basis?
I don't expect any major differences. If you or anyone identifies differences between the city and the county health orders, please let us know. Certainly as we look through all of this information, there might be an oversight, but our plans are to align everywhere, and we'll continue to do that.
Mayor Jones, as you look forward to this summer, it is some weeks away, but are you seeing a vision of a 4th of July parade and fireworks on the Arch grounds?
I know that we are talking about fireworks, and there have been some requests for a parade, but we have not approved that yet because, again, I still feel I'm a little on the conservative side. My health background tells me to be on the conservative side and make sure that we provide an opportunity for everybody to be safe and to mitigate the spread of COVID. We are not out of the woods yet.
So the bottom line here is there's no mask mandate. It's up to you as an individual whether or not you want to wear a mask.
That's what the CDC guidance says, that if you are fully vaccinated, you can take your mask off. But if you are not, they still recommend that you wear a mask so you don't infect others or catch it yourself.
I think it's important to recognize that many businesses, especially businesses whose model depends on getting people together in close quarters, will continue to require folks to wear masks, and they have the right to do that, and we expect that to happen. There's a lot of talk about enforcement, and early on in the pandemic, when folks were a little fuzzy about how bad this virus is going to be, we had a lot of conversations about enforcement. Most of our conversations about enforcement were reminding people what our recommendations and protocols were, and they just did it. And now moving forward, watching the devastation across the world and across our country, people understand this is serious, and they want to know what the right thing to do is, and they just do it. And the CDC has made their recommendations: get vaccinated and then you don't have to worry about wearing a mask, but you have to respect the business owners, especially restaurants, who want to keep their employees safe, and the businesses who want to know if you're vaccinated or not and ask you. They have the right to do that. Employers have the right to ask you if you've been vaccinated, and the EEOC has been very clear about that. We hope to get out of this model of opportunities for confrontation and just do the right thing and move forward. We are in a big moment here in our community. This is a big step forward, and we're gonna continue to move forward.
What have both of you learned about this last year to prepare for the next health crisis, for the next emergency?
Want to answer that?
What have we learned about this past year?
Yeah, in this past year, all the preparations, all the measures, all the orders, how has this molded or prepared a future plan?
Well, I think the number one lesson that we've learned is that communication is key, and also that alignment and staying in sync is key. So we're not giving people or different messages depending on where you travel within the region. And so ushering in a new spirit of collaboration and cooperation will definitely have us better prepared for the next time.
Dr. Page, Mayor Jones, you wore masks coming in to this press conference. What are your plans as you leave? Will you be wearing your masks less?
We're gonna follow the CDC guidance, and that's wear masks in public places and in large areas. But individually, we've both been vaccinated, and we'll follow the guidance. And in small groups, around other family members, around other vaccinated people, you don't need to wear a mask. If I go into a restaurant or a business and they ask me to wear a mask, I'll wear a mask. I will respect the guidance of any employer or any business owner in the region, and everyone should.
But the capacity has been lifted for the city and county for venues, although you'll be working with them. The capacity limit has been lifted, right?
Well, every business owner is going to be responsible. They demonstrated that, especially our large venues. They're particularly responsible because they want to keep their employees and their patrons safe. We really are past this time of really intense hunting for differences and opportunities to disagree. Everybody just wants to know what the right thing to do is, and our public health departments are all in contact with the large venues to provide them with that guidance.
What about restaurants? Are they back to full capacity now?
Well, just as we announced a couple of weeks ago, we still would advise restaurants to practice social distancing. That is still in the CDC guidelines, as well as for people who are unvaccinated. The key message that we want to drive home is we're not out of the woods, we're not out of this pandemic, and you should still wear a mask and social distance in order to keep yourself and others safe.
If there is a situation where cases do rise in the city or county, is there a chance that restrictions could be brought back in any capacity?
That's always a possibility, yes.
If there's a situation where a restaurant wanted to, remove someone who wasn't complying, how much enforcement does police have or law enforcement have to kind of come in and rectify, or is there any leeway for them?
We've never gotten law enforcement involved in enforcing masks in our region that I know of. Law enforcement's been there to keep the peace if people are seeking confrontation, whether it's about masks or anything else. But it's a relatively uncommon event in a bar or restaurant for the police have to be called to separate patrons. But I guess that's always a possibility. But the narrative about police enforcing masks or anything like that was a false narrative that never really got much traction.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Nice job on this one.
All right. Take care.
All right, there you go. That is County Executive Sam Page, also Mayor Tishaura Jones, just announcing that they will follow the CDC recommendation when it comes to mask wearing, that basically if you are fully vaccinated, you no longer need to wear a mask in the city or county of St. Louis. They said that, respect the restaurants and businesses that still ask that you would wear a mask, but again, they're not enforcing those rules. I think the city said they're actually rescinding all 17 health orders when it comes to COVID-19. Again, they really hit the point home about trying to follow the CDC guidance when it comes to should you wear a mask, should you not wear a mask. They did ask that those who are not fully vaccinated to continue wearing a mask, just like the CDC recommends. But again, they are not enforcing that, and they said they'll give a lot of leeway to businesses basically to come up with their own policies and how they want to manage their business. We'll have much more reaction. We have a team of reporters working on this big breaking news, and of course we'll have much more online, on the app, and of course at 4, 5, and 6 this evening. See you later.